Shalom, brothers and sisters. All praises to the Most High. If you're watching this, I want to go into a parable and a few precepts that I found that are misunderstood and are somewhat impossible to be understood without understanding the Dan tribe. Which I've said before. There's many different deep speech and dark sentences that you couldn't understand. It would be impossible to understand without knowing who the tribe of Dan is in our day. And these people that are the Dan tribe know this. So that's part of the reason why they've hidden who they are and hidden the real truth of the Dan tribe. But I want to go into the parable of the tares here in Matthew. It's in the book of Matthew, chapter 13. I'll start here in verse number 24. It says, "Another parable put he forth unto them, saying, The kingdom of heaven is likened unto a man which sowed good seed in his field. But while men slept, his enemy came and sowed tares among the wheat, and went his way. But when the blade was sprung up, and brought forth fruit, then appeared the tares also. So the servants of the householder came and said unto him, Sir, didst not thou sow good seed in thy field? From whence then hath it tares? He said unto them, An enemy hath done this. The servant said unto him, Wilt thou then that we go and gather them up? But he said, Nay, lest while ye gather up the tares, ye root up also the wheat with them. Let both grow together until the harvest. And in the time of harvest I will say to the reapers, Gather ye together first the tares, and bind them in bundles, to burn them. But gather the wheat into my barn." So it's pretty deep, and you really couldn't understand that parable, and the disciples didn't understand that parable. So we're going to go into what the Messiah's interpretation of that is. Here, I'm going to start in verse number 36. It says, "Then the Messiah sent the multitude away, and went into the house, and his disciples came unto him, saying, Declare unto us the parable of the tares of the field. So they didn't really understand the tare parable. 37 says, He answered and said unto them, He that soweth the good seed is the Son of Man. The field is the world. The good seed are the children of the kingdom, but the tares are the children of the wicked one." Just want to note that the field is the world, means the Israelite world, not all the entire all nations of people, but the world is also from John 3:16. You can get the understanding that he's not speaking about everybody. He's talking about our world, the Israelite world. It says, "The field is the world, the good seed are the children of the kingdom, but the tares are the children of the wicked one. The enemy that sowed them is the devil. The harvest is the end of the world, and the reapers are the angels." I want to stress in this scripture that many are people waking up today, and the majority of the world, the sleep world, still really hasn't digested that yet. I kind of meditate on that sometimes, like go into it and really think about that. Like, this is the end of the world. This is the end of the world from the time of Noah, when he survived the flood, until now. We are in the time of what is the end of the world. It's an unbelievably wicked time, worse than any time ever. Worse than any time point in history has there been as much wickedness in the world as it is now. I just wanted to stress that a lot of brothers and sisters still really have yet to digest the fact that we are in the end of the world. So it's very much important to understand not just the parables, but the entire Bible for as an individual. But I want to go further with this. I just wanted to stop there and stress that the enemy that sowed them is the devil. The harvest is the end of the world, and the reapers are the angels. As therefore the tares are gathered and burned in the fire, so shall it be in the end of the world. The Son of Man shall send forth his angels, and they shall gather out of his kingdom all things that offend, and them which do iniquity, and shall cast them into a furnace of fire. There shall be wailing and gnashing of teeth. Then shall the righteous shine forth as the sun in the kingdom of their Father. who hath ears to hear, let him hear. Very important words. And this, he who hath ears to hear, let him hear. This entire parable, even when he breaks it down, it would be misunderstood if you did not understand who the Dan tribe was. And today you have some people teaching that the tares are some of the descendants of the Spaniards, going into some of the Hispanic northern kingdomers. Like they're claiming that the tares are some of the descendants of Spaniards who are not the descendants of the indigenous, but are actually descendants of the Spaniards, or even slave trade Negroes whose forefathers were actually slave master. But that's not what this parable is about whatsoever. So when people tell you that the Dan tribe is dead or the Dan tribe doesn't exist or whatever, you don't. You want to mark that man and understand that he is manipulating somewhere. He's either been deceived or he's the deceiver, basically, because it would be impossible to understand some of these things without understanding who the Dan tribe is. Okay, so I want to go here that says where it says, the field is the world, and the good seed are the children of the kingdom, but the tares are the children of the wicked one. The enemy that sowed them is the devil. So that also if you go into John 8 and 44, goes hand in hand with, ye are of your father the devil, and the lust of your father you will do. So here in Matthew, when he says the good seed are the children of the wicked, the good seed are the children of the kingdom, but the tares are the children of the wicked one, and the enemy that sowed them is the devil. That goes hand in hand with the tares that were already present in the last days and the days of the Messiah. It says, ye are of your father the devil, and the lust of your father you will do. He says he was a murderer from the beginning, and abode not in the truth, because there is no truth in him. When he speaketh a lie, he speaketh of his own, for he is a liar and the father of it. So this definitely goes hand in hand with the tares parable, where it speaks of the children of the wicked one. Because that's basically what he called them here in John 8 and 44, is the children of the wicked one. If he says, you are of your father the devil, then they're the children of the wicked one. Also, I want to note that this also goes hand in hand with Psalms 50 that I've already discussed before in several videos, how it says here in verse number 16, it says, but unto the wicked the Most High saith, what hast thou to do to declare my statutes, or that thou shouldest take my covenant in thy mouth? So there's wicked people claiming to be declaring statutes and have their covenant, have the Most High's covenant in his mouth. They're professing to be keeping the commandments, but they are wicked, which goes hand in hand with the tare parable, where it says the good seed are the children of the kingdom, but the tares are the children of the wicked one. You can't tell the difference between the two by the way of look, but it's the fruit that isn't bare, that you cannot bear through tares, that's going to determine exactly who the children of the kingdom are and who the children of the wicked one is. And it doesn't, and this separation of us both doesn't happen until the end. So they're going to be among us all the way up until the end. As much as you try to try to give them the understanding that it's unprofitable for them to be among us lying, they're not going to listen. They're going to be all the way up into the end. It's going to take the angels of the Most High's Son to burn them up. Okay, so here in 16 it says, but unto the wicked the Most High saith, what hast thou to do to declare my statutes, so that thou shouldest take my covenant in thy mouth, seeing thou hatest instruction and castest my words behind thee? When thou sawest a thief, and thou consentest with him, and hast been partaker with adulterers, thou givest thy mouth to evil, and thy tongue frameth deceit. Thou sittest and speakest against thy brother, thou slanderest thine own mother's son. So all these wicked things and all this consenting with the thief and giving their mouth to evil, they've done while taking his covenant in his mouth. It says, what hast thou to do to declare? They're declaring the statutes while being, really they hate instruction to cast his words behind thee. They consented with the thief. They speak evil. They speak deceitful. They speak against their brother. They slander their own mother's son. All these things while keeping their so-called covenant, what they believe, what they're teaching, their covenant teaching. I want to go here also in verse number 21. It says, "These things hast thou done, and I kept silence." Okay, so that goes hand in hand with the parable of the tares, where it says here, all the way back to the previous part, where it says, "So the servants of the householder came and said unto him, Sir, didst not thou sow good seed in thy field? From whence then hath it tares? He said unto them, An enemy hath done this. The servant said unto him, Wilt thou then that we go and gather them up? But he said, Nay, lest while ye gather up the tares, ye root up also the wheat with them." That goes hand in hand with him saying, "These things hast thou done, and I kept silence." So they've been doing these things, all these things mentioned in Psalms 50, while the Most High has kept silence to what it is that they've been doing. And as I've said before, they're the heads of the people, and when it says to just let them be, unless you bring up some of the wheat as well. I actually was awakened by an IUIC video to the knowledge that the Most High Son is a Negro, is a black man in complexion, and that the Negro from the slave trade, the people that I come from, are the true Hebrew Israelite. So actually, from the tares, I've actually learned these things. Although the Most High led me to knowledge that showed me first their manipulation in their lives by way of their logos. The Most High gave me a knowledge of logo, and especially the IUIC